Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to uncover why learning a new language is way less about memorizing endless vocabulary lists and actually more about, well, adopting an entirely new identity. If you've ever felt like you're a slightly different person when you speak a second language, trust me, you are not imagining it. Today, we're going to look at the fascinating research behind this phenomenon, moving from practical daily habits all the way down into some deep cognitive psychology. Okay, let's dive right into this. You know that absolutely terrible feeling of just freezing mid-conversation? You completely understand what the other person just said. You know exactly what you want to say back to them in English, but suddenly your brain goes into absolute overdrive. You're frantically trying to translate the idea, restructure the entire sentence, find the right verb, remember all the grammar rules, and by the time you're actually ready to speak, the moment has completely passed. Well, as the experts over at the Polyglottist Language Academy point out, the issue here isn't your memory failing you. Not at all. It's actually a flawed mental approach that keeps you securely anchored to your native tongue. You're still thinking in English and just trying to force a brand new language to fit into that mold. But true fluency isn't about running a mental dictionary, right? It's about instinct. To guide our journey today, we'll quickly cover 6 steps: the translation trap, immersion at home, finding your inner voice, speech versus voice, the lingual culture shift, and finally, becoming a new you. Starting off with Section 1, the translation trap, and escaping that mental dictionary. Let's start right at the surface of the iceberg here. Translating word for word, it's a massive trap because it is just painfully slow. Language structures rarely match up perfectly, so trying to translate sentence by sentence creates a ton of cognitive friction. Plus, it completely distorts meaning. Just think of culturally unique French words like flâner, which basically means to stroll aimlessly taking in the city's atmosphere. You can't just shoehorn that into a direct English equivalent. Relying on translation completely blocks the spontaneity you need for a natural conversation. Psychologically, it keeps you stuck in student mode, and that prevents you from ever truly owning the language. So the bottom line here is we have to replace translation with genuine immersion. Moving on to Section 2. Immersion at home, building your personal language laboratory. As the Alliance Friends say, Silicon Valley points out, you really don't need a plane ticket to surround yourself with a new language. You can instantly create a miniature immersion environment just by switching your phone and your social media accounts over to your target language. You're learning contextually every single time you tap a screen. Next, try sticking Post-it notes on your household items. Write "le refrigerator" and stick it right on your fridge. Just maybe don't accidentally stick one on the family pet. Also, make sure you're consuming native media, like classic TV shows or podcasts, with the target language subtitles actually turned on. And here is my absolute favorite tip. Start narrating your daily tasks out loud. If you're chopping vegetables in the kitchen, tell yourself exactly what you're doing in your target language. Now, while those everyday at-home hacks are fantastic, there's actually a really fascinating academic dissertation from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Authored by Brandon Kenji Shigematsu, it reveals the intense cognitive psychology behind what is physically happening in our brains when we learn a second language. That brings us to Section 3, finding your inner voice. We're going beyond the surface now. Notice how taking a visual approach fundamentally changes your learning process. When you use tools like image flashcards, you're forced to associate concepts directly with the target language. So if you see a picture of a cat, your brain should jump straight to un chat. It should absolutely not go from the picture to the English word cat and then to un chat. By dropping English entirely from that equation, you're building brand new direct neural pathways. You're basically training an entirely new inner voice. Which leads right into Section 4, speech versus voice, featuring the works of Vygotsky and Schmidt. So, what's actually happening in your brain when you start thinking in a new language? Well, to understand this, we can look at 2 historical psychology scholars. Lev Vygotsky theorized about inner speech as a cognitive tool. Think of it as internalized speech used for mental orientation, like when you're silently talking yourself through a really tough math problem. But his mentor, Schmidt, argued for something deeper called the inner voice. This is a lens that connects language directly with culture, fundamentally mediating how we see the world around us. It isn't just a tool for solving a problem, it's the actual lens through which we experience reality itself. All right, Section 5, the languageal shift. Merging language and culture. This is a truly profound threshold, where rigid grammar rules finally meet the breathing soul of a culture. Linguistic anthropologist Michael Ager actually coined this brilliant term, language culture.
He explains that to truly speak a language, you absolutely must step outside that safe little circle of grammar rules and dictionaries. Language and culture, they are entirely inseparable. If you want to use a language properly, you literally have to stretch out of your old worldview and adopt the target culture's consciousness. You can't just translate a culture, right? You have to embody it.
Similarly, the sociologist Pierre Bourdieu discussed a really interesting concept called habitus. This refers to our deeply ingrained habits and dispositions. Bourdieu argued that mastering the linguistic capital of a new language really empowers you. It allows you to navigate the complex system of cultural differences to your advantage, which ultimately helps you secure a legitimate, respected position within a brand new social network. And when you break down cultural capital conceptually, linguistic capacity makes up a massive, absolutely vital segment. It basically proves that your linguistic capital isn't just about passing some vocabulary test. It is a critical slice of your overall cultural integration. Without it, the whole circle is just incomplete. Finally, we reach Section 6, Becoming a New You, the Identity Climax. So how does all of this build into an actual identity shift? Well, as you develop that new inner voice, your brain starts utilizing new identity enactments, a concept identified by researchers Strauss and Cross. You start code switching, which is shifting incredibly smoothly between your native culture and the target culture so you can operate effectively. You engage in bridging, which allows you to have reciprocal, totally comfortable interactions with people from entirely different backgrounds. And you begin bonding, a psychological transaction that sustains a deep, genuine sense of connection to this new community. You aren't just reciting their words anymore, you're navigating their world as one of them. The research is honestly incredibly clear on this. As the scholar Aneta Pavlenko discovered, second language learning is quite literally a departure from oneself. Her studies show that the higher your proficiency becomes in a new language, the greater the distance grows between your original native self and your brand new bilingual identity. So, what should you really take away from all of this? Well, it's that true fluency isn't some race to see how incredibly fast you can speak. Not at all. It is the ability to think clearly, instinctually, and culturally within the language itself. It's about finally leaving that mental translation dictionary behind and allowing a totally new inner voice to guide you. Which leaves us with a truly existential, yet kind of beautiful question to ponder today. If the language you speak undeniably shapes the way you think, who will you become when you learn your next one? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep immersing yourselves, and I'll catch you next time.